All right, so Trinity Business Alliance, what do we do? We're really, if you want to think of us more like management consultants, that's probably a good way to think of us. But tonight, as I go through this presentation, I'm going to make an analogy between building a house and getting an EHR, getting an electronic health record system. Very, very similar types of things. If you were going to, I don't know why that's blank. Oh, there we go. If you're going to build a house, you wouldn't start with a blue line pad, draw a picture, or maybe you would, and then hand it to a builder and expect it to come out the way you envision it. Typically what you're going to do is go out and hire an architect to do that. And think of us as the architects. We're the architects and the engineers that take your concepts and your ideas and convert them into a working system to help your practice. So we have a lot of experience, more than I like to admit at this point, working with information systems and healthcare practices. And our objective really is to effectively help you select and implement an electronic health record system that's good for your business. How did all this really get kicked off? Well, the technology, as most of you know, has been around for a long time, but what really makes it something to do as a decision for now is about a year and a half ago when the Economic Recovery Act was passed, $20 billion was set aside within that to do electronic health record systems. We're going to have to move fast to get our share of that money, though, because the government's already spent around $4 billion of those dollars. So a year and a half, $4 billion out. And I can describe it, if you want to meet offline, how some of that money's been spent, but it hasn't all been wasted. There have been some good pilot projects that they've started up, but $20 billion is now closer to $16 billion. And the money has been set aside for hospitals and eligible providers, and you have to be either a Medicare or a Medicaid practice. So if you have Medicare billing of $24,000 or more, you're going to qualify. You need to use a certified system, and I'll talk more about that. And you have to use it in a meaningful way. And a lot of the detail for that is in the handout that you have. So I'm just going to talk about it briefly to give you an overview. So if you're going to build a house, right, one of the things we're going to find out is how many bedrooms do you want to put in the house? How many bathrooms do you want to put in the house? Do you want a basement? Do you want a ranch? Do you want a cape? How do you want that house to look? In this assessing your readiness part of it, those are the types of questions we ask. How is EHR going to fit into your practice? What type of practice do you have? So for example, there are different types of electronic health record systems for hospitals, for internal medicine, and for orthopedic practices, because how you process the patients, how you see the patients and interact with the patients in those environments is very different. So, I heard that one of the local hospitals was offering a package out to the physicians for using their software at a very competitive rate. Well, maybe their software doesn't really meet your needs because it's designed to work for a hospital and not your type of practice. So it's really something to look at before you make a decision to go with it. But those are the types of things we start to identify in the beginning of in the needs assessment part of the process. So we define the goals for the system, the expectations. One of the key things that we do is we go in and look at the technology that's already in place in each one of the practices. How much of the technology you have today are you going to be able to use with these new electronic health record systems? Many of the practices we go into, the technology is so old, it's going to find its way out to a dumpster somewhere and recycling pretty quickly, and you'll need all new equipment. A big part of the electronic health record system, and probably the biggest problem I see as I go out and I work with different firms, is getting the partners of the firm to agree on a direction, getting the staff to agree that this is the right thing to do, and to get everybody moving in the same direction. So that's part of what we can help with as we go through this process, is help organizationally overcome objectives and fears, because really there's a lot of fear surrounding electronic health record systems as well. It's a change, and it's a big change. And one of the things as we get to the end of this, you'll get some information on how to think about budgeting and the types of money you should expect to spend on a health record system. The next step in our 5-step process is we evaluate the EHR options. And again, at this point, we start to home in on those types of systems that are most appropriate for your type of practice. So when you look through the handouts that we gave you tonight, you're going to get to a section that's 6 or 7 pages of the most current systems that have been proved as quote-unquote certified systems for health records. And it's a lengthy list, and the list is likely to get longer because I know some of the systems that my customers use today are not listed there. So I know that there are still systems being certified and in the pipeline. But the goal is to really get that list whittled down to the ones that are most appropriate for your type of business. And probably the key part of this whole evaluation process, one of the keys, is after we whittle that list down to 3 and we really look at them, go out and visit practices that are using that software. And typically the software vendors will set those site visits up. That's a really important part of the process because you get to talk to the staff, to the doctors, to the people that use that system every day to find out what the pitfalls are, how good the support is from the software company. Very important.